There is a hidden truth about highly intelligent people who withdraw from groups, and almost all of us get it wrong. They cancel plans. They go quiet in the middle of a party. They would rather sit with a book, a project, or their own thoughts than be in a room full of people. Most people read this as arrogance, or coldness, or someone who thinks they are above everyone else. But what it actually means is that their mind is already full, and it is asking for room to work. Out of habit, we label this as snobbish, antisocial, stuck up, cold. We assume they do not need people, or worse, that they do not like people. None of that is true. What is actually happening is an internal experience most outsiders foresee. A mind that does not stop processing, even when the room goes quiet. If you are someone who feels most like yourself when you are alone, this is for you. And if you love someone who keeps pulling away to think, this is for you too. We are going to explain the psychology behind it and, more importantly, how to actually reach this person without making them retreat further. Let go of the idea that this is a preference they are choosing on purpose, like picking a hobby. It is not that they have decided people are less interesting than their own thoughts. Psychologists who study cognitive intensity, sometimes called overexcitability, a term from psychologist Kazimierz Dabrowski, describe certain minds as taking in more per moment than others. More detail, more pattern, more implication. Alone time is not a preference. It is regulation. Here is what is actually happening. Underneath, a highly active mind does not just think about what is in front of it. It is constantly cross-referencing, predicting, connecting one idea to 5 others in the background. Neuroscientists call this background activity the default mode network, the system that lights up when the brain is not focused on an external task, but is instead reflecting, planning, and making meaning. In most people, this network quiets down during conversation. In a highly intelligent mind, it often keeps running underneath everything else, like a second conversation happening at the same time as the one out loud. Imagine a browser with 40 tabs open. Every person you talk to, every noise in the room, every subtext in a conversation opens another tab. For most people, a handful of tabs is manageable. For a mind like this, the tabs stack fast, and each one keeps running in the background, whether you are looking at it or not. Eventually, the system slows down, not because it is broken, but because it is carrying more than most environments account for. Solitude closes the tabs. It is not withdrawal from life. It is the only place where the mind can actually finish a thought before starting the next one. Their need for alone time is not a disinterest in people. It is a nervous system trying to protect its own bandwidth so it does not overload. 3 root causes. It is not just personality. There are real roots underneath it. Cause 1 is developmental. Picture a child who finishes their work before the rest of the class, who asks a question the teacher was not ready for, who notices the pattern before anyone points it out. That child learns early that their mind moves at a different pace than the room around them, and that the only place their thinking actually slows down enough to make sense is when they are alone with it. That lesson does not disappear with age. It becomes a lifelong habit. Cause 2 is relational. Somewhere along the way, this person likely had the experience of simplifying themselves in conversation, trimming down an idea, holding back a thought, performing a version of easy to talk to because the full version felt like too much for the room. Over time, that performance became exhausting. Solitude became the one place they did not have to translate themselves for anyone. Cause 3 is biological. Some nervous systems simply process more per second. More sensory detail, more emotional undercurrent, more meaning extracted from small things. It is not a decision, it is wiring. And a highly reactive processing system reaches its limit faster in a stimulating environment, the same way a sensitive instrument picks up more static in a noisy room. 3 hidden truths. Here is what is invisible from the outside, in real time. Truth 1. Solitude is not empty for them. It is often the loudest, busiest room in their day, full of half-finished ideas, replayed conversations, and connections they are still working out. What looks like stillness from the outside is actually the mind at its most active. Truth 2. The withdrawal is usually protective of the relationship, not against it. They are not stepping away from you. They are stepping away from stimulation so that when they do come back, they can actually be present instead of running on fumes. Truth 3. Pressure makes it worse. Push someone to just relax and socialize more while their default mode network is already maxed out, and you are not helping them recharge, you are adding another tab. It is not that they do not want to engage. It is that the system needs to come back down first. This is not permanent. Even in the middle of withdrawing, something is still running quietly underneath, a kind of internal check-in, gauging whether it is safe and worthwhile to re-engage. If that check reads safety low pressure, no demands, room to return in their own time, they usually do come back, often with more presence than before. If it reads pressure or guilt, they retreat further, and the relationship slowly loses a little trust each time. This is not someone shutting a door forever. It is someone deciding, moment to moment, whether it is safe to open it again. If you love someone like this, the instinct is to chase more invitations, more check-ins, more "are you mad at me?" But presence without demand works better than pursuit. Try something like, "No pressure to talk. I just wanted you to know I am around whenever you are ready." That single sentence removes the obligation to perform, which is exactly what lets their mind settle enough to come back on its own. You are not giving up on the relationship by giving space. You are making the space where it can actually breathe. If this is you, this way of needing quiet to think is not a flaw you need to apologize for. It is how your mind takes care of itself. What helps is naming it instead of disappearing without a word. Something like, "I need an hour to think this through, then I am back." That one line does something powerful. It keeps the door open while still giving your mind the room it needs. You are not shutting people out. You are taking ownership of a pattern that used to just happen to you. The paradox. Here is the quiet strength hiding inside all of this, because this mind filters so much, so carefully, what finally does get said carries real weight. The conversations are not frequent, but they are rarely shallow. The presence is not constant, but when it is there, it is fully there. What looks like distance from the outside is often just a mind making sure that when it finally speaks, it means it. If you recognized yourself or someone you love in this pattern, tell us about it in the comments. And if you know someone who has been called too much in their head, one too many times, send them this video. They might need the reminder that their mind is not the problem. This is simply human, true. If this gave you a little more understanding of yourself or someone you love, subscribe so we can keep exploring the parts of us that do not always have words. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.